Brenda Shad moves between acting and fashion. Of Choctaw and Cherokee origin, she brings her culture to center stage. As a model, she's collected standout moments. Offstage, she created the Native American Children's Fund, reinforcing her commitment to the community. Her path connects art, identity, and social impact. The jingle dress dance was born among the Mille-Lacs band of Ojibwe in the early 20th century. In the 1920s, it gained visibility and started bringing together communities and curious onlookers, spreading mainly through Wisconsin and Minnesota in the United States, around the vast Great Lakes region where it took root. Before we keep going, click subscribe and turn on the bell. That way, YouTube understands this content is relevant and shows it to more people. Elsie Vance was born in 1873 and received the native name Chestuin, a sign of her bond with her own origins. The daughter of Dilth Clay E., she carried Apache lineage in her blood. Her mother descended from Chief Biduya known as Victorio, also called Bedouillat, a defining leader in the history and culture of the people in North America. In 1882, in what was then Indian Territory, Wanada Parker Page was born, registered as Woonardy Parker. In Comanche, the name says, "Rise up and show strength." It wasn't a random choice. It was a sign and a guide for the obstacles that would shape her path, calling for courage at every step. It reflected the challenges awaiting her. In 1906, Cow-Utes from the Caddo Nation belonged to a people whose territory stretched across areas of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. Farming sustained both the economy and the culture. Because of that, the Caddo limited contact with non-members to protect traditions and their way of life, trying to face changes without breaking community ties. The Miami Nation, an indigenous people of North America linked to the Algonquian language family, is part of the communities known as the Great Lakes tribes. Throughout its history, it formed bonds with rivers and hunting routes, continuously occupying the region that today corresponds to the state of Indiana. In C.S. Fly's photo, you see the group lined up from left to right: Martin, Chapo, Geronimo's son, Fun, and Geronimo himself. Fun stands out for his courage in battle. He took part in decisive clashes and crossed territories on both sides of the border, leaving a trail of feats that marked his story. In 1901, in Oregon, Lee Morehouse photographed Chief Joseph, leader of the Nez Perce tribe. The photo, typical of the early 20th century, goes beyond a portrait. It highlights his posture and symbols of command. The framing and his gaze guide the reading, reinforcing his central role in the community and his historical authority. In 1948, a scene from the Pendleton Roundup captured the meeting of tradition and spectacle. In the arena, indigenous princesses paraded, affirming their presence and history. The photo shows the rodeo as a stage for identities, the West in celebration, native culture in the spotlight, and a public attentive to a ritual that spans generations. Ella Cara Deloria, 1889-1971, Ang Patu Wastewing, beautiful day woman, of Yankton Sioux origin, made her life a bridge between tradition and the university. An educator, anthropologist, ethnographer, linguist, and novelist, she recorded indigenous stories and languages, expanding their reach. Her work shaped studies about the Plains peoples. Naiche, born in 1956, was Cochise's youngest son. Through his mother, Dos Tese, grandson of Mangus Colorados, he inherited a legacy of Apache leadership. In his youth, he took part in raids against Euro-American settlers, an expression of the tensions of the period. Before we keep going, click subscribe and turn on the bell. That way, YouTube understands this content is relevant and shows it to more people. American Horse, an Oglala Lakota leader, was born in 1840 in the Black Hills, South Dakota, land central to his people. The youngest to carry that name, he appears in the record books for his connection to the Carlisle Indian Industrial School, where his presence exposed tensions between colonial education and Lakota identity. Originating in the Great Basin, the Bannock occupied southeastern Oregon and southern Idaho for centuries. There, among dry landforms and waterways, they learned to read the land, move with the seasons, and gather what the earth provided. From this pact with the environment, a strong culture was born, shaped by the region's cycles. In 1967, at Brigham Young University, the Tribe of Many Feathers Club launched the first Native beauty pageant. The event celebrated Indigenous presence on campus and became a highlight of Cultural Diversity Week, created that year. It was a milestone that helped make room for new voices and traditions. In 1916, Iron Tail, a leader of the Oglala tribe, was photographed in an image that has stood the test of time. Today it's a reference in the history of his people, one branch of the Lakota Sioux, and it reveals the features and posture of someone who guided and inspired. Looking into his eyes, we understand part of the path the Oglala traced. In Cheyenne tradition, two objects guided the people: the four branches of life, Ahioo, and the buffalo spirit robe, Nakutsai. They weren't empty emblems, they held spiritual power. The branches spoke of energy and balance. The robe, the height of women's power and wisdom. In rituals, they recalled origin, duty, and continuity. Quatsan, known as Quechan or Yuma, call themselves those who descend. They keep a living heritage and maintain it on the Fort Yuma Reservation, where their villages extend through Arizona and California. Along the lower Colorado River near the Mexican border, they continue passing on their history and presence. In the Comancheria, the territory that sustained the Comanche, nomadism required precise choices. Every stop came from a calculation: easy access, protection from risks, shelter from the terrain, nearby food sources, and pastures able to keep the horses strong for the next journey. At the turn of the 20th century, photographer N.A. Forsyth captured in Montana members of the Flathead Nation about to begin an ancestral dance. The image, full of memory, offers a slice of the past: traditional clothing, ornaments, and preparatory gestures that uphold the continuity of their rituals and the preservation of their history. In March 1905, at Theodore Roosevelt's inauguration, one gesture took center stage and reiterated respect for Native peoples. 6 tribal leaders, central figures in their communities, marched down Pennsylvania Avenue in the heart of Washington, marking the ceremony with presence and lasting meaning before thousands. Before we keep going, click subscribe and turn on the bell. That way, YouTube understands this content is relevant and shows it to more people. In 1908, Edward Curtis carefully photographed a scene of the Absaroki people, also known as the Crow. In it, a mother holds her baby in her arms. Dedicated to the indigenous cultures of North America, Curtis captured in the frame the maternal bond and childhood that sustained that community, in a simple, definitive gesture. In 1888, Frank A. Randall photographed the portrait of an Apache woman, in lands that today are part of New Mexico and Arizona. The framing brings the public closer to her way of dressing and the signs of belonging to the group, offering a concrete glimpse of indigenous daily life in that period, and of their presence in the territory. In the early 20th century, Black Eagle, leader of the Crow Nation, guided his people with steadiness and calm. Rituals and collective memory showed up in his steady gaze and measured gestures. His clothes, with patterns and colors that told of lineages and achievements, marked his place among the elders and linked past and future. Let's pass on to the next generations what we teach our own. The earth sustains our life. Every act that harms it falls on all of us. When we abandon that care, we hurt our own future. Like Mato Wanarsaka, who in 1899 guides his son with a bow. We must train day after day our commitment to protect our common home. Around 1900, in a distant landscape, a Washoe woman walks beside a child. She carries a calm, steady air, and her traditional clothes, simple and practical, reflect everyday practices. Between gestures and silences, the two walk together, in a bond that crosses time and memory. In 1919, in the Manitou Cliff Dwellings in Colorado, the Tewa Nation celebrated a wedding that echoed their heritage. A couple joined according to rites preserved over time. The setting, with centuries of Tewa presence, was both witness and symbolic backdrop to this commitment. The Yamparika, a branch of the Comanche, were born along the Arkansas River, where roots guided the table. First, they settled north of the headwaters. Over time, they moved into eastern Colorado and western Kansas, adjusting their routes to what each land offered. We've reached the end of our video. Subscribe to our channel and leave a comment if you enjoyed the content. See you next time.